My parents taught me about life, and life taught me about my parents. My beautiful mother, Salita Hunter, gave birth to me at the young age of 17 years old in Washington, D.C. My mother was a scholar. She graduated in the top 5% of her class, and she denied a full tuition scholarship to stay at home to nurture and raise me alongside with my father, Edward Doxen. Now, as you can imagine, there were many challenges that my parents faced as being teenage parents, and some of these challenges were financial burdens, receiving negative criticism, not just from friends or outsiders, but as well as some of our family members. Now, my mother and father grew up very differently. My mother grew up in a very religious-based household. My grandfather has been a deacon for forever. And when she decided to make an adult decision to get pregnant, my grandmother, which was very stern back in her day, decided to inform my mother that she could no longer stay there. So my mother had to go stay with my aunt, which is Brenda Grayton, better known as Aunt Honey. Now, Aunt Honey didn't get her name from liking to put honey into her tea. She got her name from her genuine, warm, and loving spirit. There, where my mother and father resided at a young age, Aunt Honey and my great-grandmother, Phroney Grayton, they took them under the wing, they invested into them, and they wanted them to be successful parents. My mom tells me the stories about if everyone thought she was going to fail, she was going to be another negative statistics and things of that nature, but she utilized that to be an effective parent. And the things that I want to talk about today is that I grew up in Washington, D.C., like many other urban cities, faced a lot of struggles. I participated in a lot of youth development programs from the local rec centers, church, the schools, all the different things. There's tons of resources. And my friends participated in these activities as well. But everyone's path didn't go as planned. I lost a host of friends to homicide, incarceration, substance abuse, and even suicide. As I began to get older, I started to notice the difference in my friends and my upbringing. As I started to mentor youth, I started to notice that a lot of youth were lacking a parent or parents that were fully invested into their future. And this is why I firmly believe that we need to invest more in parent development to aid in the cultivation of youth development. So when we talk about the household, many years ago, the traditional household was known as the norm in our society, where you have a wife, husband, kids, maybe married, possibly a better socioeconomic status. The children or the child in the house has two adults to look up as role models and things like that. And this, in a sense, used to be the norm in our society. But things have changed. We've gone from the non-traditional household, we've gone from the traditional household to the non-traditional household. Now, the non-traditional household can be a single mother, a single father, or maybe a single guardian who's decided to raise a child. Now, through the non-traditional household that's taking place today, there are many factors that have led to the non-traditional household. But one of the factors that has led to the non-traditional household is mass incarceration. Now, before I get into mass incarceration, just to give you a backdrop of some statistics, is that over the past 50 years, those residing in the home only with their mother increased from 8% to 24%. And today, 1 in 4 children are being raised in a fatherless household. So this is a picture right here of Tony Lewis Jr., the little boy, and Tony Lewis Sr. Tony is a mentor, big brother to me. He's a big community activist in D.C. He helps returning citizens come home to get their life together, get them jobs, things of that nature. He has a book out, the whole 9 yards. That's Tony Lewis Sr., his father. Tony Lewis Sr. was locked up in 1989, and he's still in prison. He's been there for life for a nonviolent drug offense. And when Tony's father was arrested, he always tells the story that when his father went to jail, he didn't only lose his father, he actually lost his mother as well, because his mother started to suffer from mental illness, and he says to this day that she has not been the same since his father's been arrested. So in Tony's case, the odds were stacked against him, usually in situations like this, and especially the neighborhood that he was raised in D.C., usually would lead to going down the wrong path of maybe following his father's footsteps or becoming a victim of gun violence or something like that. But Tony also speaks about the prominent men that played a role in his life who were head of their own households, or some of them weren't head of their own households. Now, this goes to the saying that Tony's turned out amazingly. He's an amazing person. He's turned out great. He's doing a lot of great things for the community and for society. But this goes to show you that it takes a village to raise a child, and I still firmly believe that today it takes a village to raise a child. But there's a totally difference from back then into today, and some may ask why. Well, we have to look at today. We're in a society where social media has a heavy influence on everyone, and especially young children. Children are heavily influenced by the different things that they're seeing in the media and things like that. So when you talk about the village today, this is why I believe that continuous learning is important for parents to be able to have these tough conversations. Some parents may not know what a hashtag is. Some parents may not know about Instagram and Facebook and all these different things that I know children are getting exposed to. I even catch myself when I go to my aunt's house, and some of the things that my cousins are talking about is sometimes unbelievable, but it's kind of hard to kind of prevent them from getting access since the internet is kind of running everything. But when you have parents that have continuous learning opportunities to learn how to guide their children, another thing is when you think about cyberbullying and bullying in the schools, having these tough conversations, teaching them financial literacy and things like that, I think continuous learning is great. Now myself, I'm a human resources major here at Towson University, and we talk a lot about employee engagement. We talk a lot about employee satisfaction. And the class that I have to go to after this is employee health and wellness. So when I do become a vice president of a human resources department, I am going to make it a priority to have parent development implemented in the workplace. So to kind of go back when we talk about the single parent home, if you have a single parent home, 9 times out of 10 that mother or that father may have to work long hours, may have to work 2 or 3 jobs, and this can take away from that quality time of investing in their child. So from an HR perspective, why not invest in the parent? That way we can have them making an impact in the office as well as outside of the office, and this can help society as a whole. So kind of give a backdrop of myself, talking about the things that I went through in D.C. So I lost my best friend in 2008. He was murdered at the age of 15. My dad actually lost his best friend as well when he was in high school. So to give you a backdrop of that, just to say is that all of the things that I faced and my peers faced, from homicide and just going through all these different negative things growing up as a teen, I wouldn't be the person I am today without my parents being able to guide me and help me. My dad didn't have his dad in his life, but he took advantage of his friends who had their fathers in their lives, and they invested into my father. And to this day, without my parents, I wouldn't be who I am today. So when I talk about the youth development that I did take advantage of at the rec centers and the churches and all those other things, my other friends, they took advantage of that too. But some of them aren't here anymore, or some of them are incarcerated right now. And myself, I was able to take advantage of those things and go home and get that positive reinforcement. Sometimes from my dad, a little too much reinforcement, but it paid off. So that's why I think we should invest more into parent development to aid in the cultivation of youth development. So I ask everyone in here, when you leave here, invest in a parent, whether it be someone you know, whether it be a colleague, whether it be a stranger. I ask everyone to invest in the parents so that they can invest into their child, and that child can invest into society and make their mark on this world. Thank you.